Greetings, I'm Dugout Man and welcome to my grassroots save. We've been looking at taking a team with no reputation, with a manager with no reputation, and seeing if the two together can work their way towards glory. We're in the Premier League now. That is the Hallmark Security League Northwest Premier League, of course. You weren't thinking of another Premier League, I'm sure. And so, yeah, we're Sandbach United, and at the moment, things are going okay. I have started the season, but I wanted to just quickly run through how the season's expected to go for us. So if you look at us, we currently sit top of the league, but that is only after a couple of games. So there's nothing to get excited about there. The media predicts us to finish 7th. Now, the board actually want us to win the league. So there's no pressure there. They think that we should be going right the way through this league, apparently, despite the fact that we have lost half of our team and not really being able to replace them with many decent players. So if we move along to our transfer screen, and I'll show you what's been going on behind the scenes. So first of all, we come to the ins and outs from last season, and the reason I've done that is because before we came to the end of the official season, for some reason our league finished about a month before all the rest of the leagues, and then there was another month until the actual end of the season, and it starts the next season. And basically we lost most of our great key players before the official season had ended. And so if you look in the outs, we lost Fraser Paprell, which I think you knew about anyway. Then Robbie Jenkinson was gone as soon as the season had finished. Jay Grant was gone. Now, I'm not overly disappointed with Jay Grant going, but I'm disappointed that James Dean Atkinson and Jay Grant went. Jay Grant was awesome for us for most of the time he was with us, but just towards the end, he really died off in his form a little bit. So there we go. We lost 3 key players there. And if we continue with the outs, we lost our right winger, Joe Delacoe. And then just to cheer us up a little bit more, we had lost our other right winger, Jordan Elliott, to Airdrie. And we're losing all these on a free because we're unable to offer players contracts. So I had to bring some players in, but there's a real issue in that the players that are any good for this division, majority of them are requesting probably about 4 times the amount of money we can offer them for wages. And again, it's not a contract, it's just money per match. The board won't seem to let us to offer more than about £60 per match, and most people are asking for a lot more than that. And so we have managed to sign some, and we'll start with James Berry, because James Berry is officially, when you go back to the previous screen that we were on, he's officially our best player. He doesn't look overly exciting to me, and he also plays in a position which I don't use in my tactics, which makes the purchase a little bit pointless. Although I have been training a 4-2-3-1 tactic, which would incorporate him, and so we may find that we were able to use that tactic a little bit more with him in that position behind either Dan Smith or Lee Knight. But I'm going to try and retrain him to be a deep line playmaker. The irony with that is that it actually probably misses out in the important stats, most of his really good stats. So we're probably not using him right. But like I say, maybe as we come against the better teams in the league, if we use that slightly more defensive formation in just having the one striker, James Berry can come into his own there. Or it may just be that we end up using him as an actual striker if we lose either Dan Smith or Lee Knight. Bids are constantly coming for those players still, but at the moment they remain our property. Then we come to Sam Muggleton. Not particularly special, apart from he can throw the ball very far. His work rate's okay and his teamwork's okay. But other than that, nothing special, but we just needed to get some players in because we're really struggling, especially in the midfield. So, Sam Muggleton, he's actually probably going to play more left back, but he's a cover for left midfield if we need him. Then we've got Aaron Bashford. He's my third choice striker at the moment, and he looks like a pretty good addition to the squad. Could potentially be a target man as well, but certainly for Lee Knight, this is a little bit of competition. He's not brilliant, but he's got the potential to be, certainly at this level, very good. Then we got Rio Molyneux, who's, as you can see, a right midfielder. We needed one desperately. He was the best that I could find. He's got pretty good pace, so hopefully he will grow into that role and take us forward. Jamie Chisholm, a central defender. We didn't have any other than Carter, so we managed to get this guy in. His heading's not very good, his tackling's not very good, his marking's excellent. His pace is pretty good for a central defender, but again, not somebody who we want to be relying on completely. Then we got another midfielder, right? We needed the midfield covering, and we now have two players. Josh Wicks, I think he's pretty good. His crossing's really good, first touch is really good, his pace is good, with his acceleration too. So yeah, I think this guy could be our first choice and looks a reasonable prospect for us. And then we come to Chandler Gibson. He can play centre forward or centre back, and he's probably going to be used more as a centre forward. Definitely as a target man. If we look at the roles that he can use, it says he can be a good poacher or target man, and I'll push a deep line forward. So if ever we come to a game where Chandler Gibson is coming on instead of Lee Knight or whoever, then I think his role will switch to a target man. His heading is the key attribute there for that. And that's it for the ins and outs. So we have played some games, like I said, it's only a couple. We'll move along to the fixture list, and I'll see you in a sec. So if you look at this, our pre-season didn't seem to go very well, but a majority of the matches that you're looking at, we were against the under-23s teams. We couldn't get any big teams to play against us, which was a bit of a shame. I think the problem with it is our stadium's so small that the fees are more than what the ticket prices would bring in for the crowd, so it was really difficult. But we still get nearly a full house for the under-23s, so that is a good way of making a little bit of money for us. But as you can see, we won one out of all of our friendlies. A couple of draws against teams who we probably should have been beaten as well. So I was a little bit worried when it came to them. So as we look at the fixtures that purely involve the league, we can see that we've had a great start. I decided to play two games because I wanted us to play against Liverpool. Who knew that Liverpool were in this league that we're in? But to do that would have meant either playing two videos really close together, splitting up the league a little bit, and I didn't really want to do that. And I didn't want to play Kendall twice in two games, because we try and cover 3 games in the series. So we played Kendall twice. The first game, they absolutely battered us. 16 shots to our 4, 9 on target to our 2. And yet somehow we managed to score 2 goals. Dan Smith with them. So Campana swung in a free kick for Dan Smith to nod home. And that was the first one. And then the second one, Dan Smith doing all the work himself, robs the right back of his possession and slots it home, 2-0. It was a bit of a smash and grab, if I'm honest. Then I was going to show you Squire's Gate until I realised that we were playing Liverpool soon, so I thought, no, we'll play this game behind closed doors because of the coronavirus. And yeah, so as we watched the goals, we were a little bit closer. It was a very even game. But again, it was Dan Smith that we were relying on to give us the victory in this game. So as Carter picked the ball up, hoofed it to Knight with a lovely knockdown header to Dan Smith, who just goes past one defender, avoids the other, and slots it past Bleeker, the keeper. And that was 1-0. Ward then slotted in a penalty to make it 2-0. before Ward again involved, picked up the ball right on the edge of his own area, sent it right to the edge of the opposition area where Dan Smith was able to pick up and slot home for his 4th goal in 2 appearances this season. It looks like he's going to thrive in this league. Sadly, we didn't keep the clean sheet. As usual, it's from a corner and a 20-yard screamer into the corner of the goal. But 3-1. Another good victory there, and it put us top of the league. And so, what we're going to see today is the second match against Kendal, which is in the cup. Then we'll play Winsford and City of Liverpool. So let's get straight to the first of those games. So it is the FA Cup, so we get 7 substitutes. So I will give us a keeper, and I'm going to actually give Deitch the start today. Okay, so this is our team that we're going to go with. We're going to go with Wicks as a winger, Berry as a deep line playmaker, Lucky Lou playing in the centre of midfield, and Prudo on the left. I don't know why I've started on the midfielders, but that's what we've done. Smith and Knight up front, obviously. Baker, Ward, Carter and Muggleton across the back, and Deitch in goal. The tactics are exactly the same at the moment. At the moment, there's no need to change them. We do have a second tactic. There it is again. It's a balanced mentality at the moment. But as you can see, there's a lot of red around here, which is a bit disconcerting. A lot of the players would need training in those positions, although we do have some players who can play in those areas should we need it. But at the moment, our tactic that we've used from the start is working, so we'll keep it the same as we go to the game. So Kendal are playing a different system to what they played before. And so this is in the Emirates FA Cup first preliminary round. And it's Kendal. Once again, we've been drawn away from home, as normally happens with the Cups. But let's hope that we get the win and start what would be a valuable Cup run. Because this is the Cup, realistically, that you want to have a good run in. As you can see, the time's ticking away and there's not a lot happening at the moment. Half an hour in and nothing. Let's make a shout. Because there hasn't been a single highlight. Demand more. Let's see what happens. We've focused everybody a little bit. Are we going to have an entire half without a single highlight? It looks like... Oh. So Gibson. Vaughan picks it up. Plays it back to their keeper, Mendes. Martin. To Neville. The long ball forward to Norman. He breaks away and slots it home. And that is a disastrous goal for us to concede. It was poor defending. Hoofed over the top. Norman picks it up. And nobody got back to him. Nobody closed down the angle. And he was able to just slot it in at the near post. All in all, not very impressive. So a highlight straight from the goal. With Prudo. Bailey Prudo racing down the wings like a Ryan Giggs of old. And cocking it up. Losing it. Here comes Kai Steer. Hartley. Butterworth, Sloan, Smith, and all of a sudden Kendal are beginning to dominate just like they did previously. We will look at the tactics at half time to see if there's a way in which we can improve what's happening at the moment. If we get to half time without conceding another goal, that is. So there we are, half time. We've got to be a little bit aggressive about this. And let's look at the tactics. So they're playing a very narrow formation. So we're going to want to focus down the wings, hit early crosses. And out of possession. We've already been caught out once, so we'll go much lower. We are already narrow, so I don't think we can change anything else there. So a couple of changes to the tactics, no changes to the personnel. let's hope that we can at least create something. So I just realised that we're on defensive. How did that happen? We'll move to attacking. So it looks like Kendall are going to put us under pressure again, and Smith gets through. That should have been a goal. We are very fortunate to survive that, really. Here they come again. It's becoming one-way traffic. Baker picks up the ball. Plays an interesting ball to Muggleton. Not really one I would endorse. And we've given the ball away again. There's definitely huge issues here with the way that we're playing. And their wing backs are causing us all sorts of trouble as well. So Wicks picks up the ball, runs with it, pulls it back to Baker, to Berry, to Wicks, the ball to Dan Smith, who nods it home. 1-1. We can start again, but we have got to have a little think about tactics a little bit more, because what they're getting down there is so look at the player tactics. No, that's not the one I wanted. Opposition. So what I've tried to do with the tactics, I've tried to nullify the threat of their wing backs, and also, oh, look at that for a goal from Dan Smith. Bit of a flick into the goal. Do you know what I think? I think we want to see that again. That was impressive. So Wicks picks up the ball, floats it in beautifully. Oh no, it is a header. I thought I saw a back heel, but I'm obviously imagining it. So we've got Carter getting a bit tired, and I think so. The one change I've made, Lee Knight has come off for Aaron Bashford. Lee Knight was on a 6.4, and Aaron Bashford gets an opportunity to shine. So time's already ticking away, and it looks like we're heading into a draw. I don't know whether that means we get a replay or extra time or what. We may never find out. Baker with a throw-in. A free kick, Bashford. Wicks. Dan Smith again. That is 2 goals in his last, in every game for his last 3 games. This is an incredible run by Dan Smith. And it was a free kick. I couldn't really see. I thought it was a throw-in at first, but Bashford picks up the ball. His shot is blocked. Wicks just tucks it into Dan Smith's head, and it's a beautiful header. And all of a sudden, we're in the 89th minute, and we want to shut up shop, because we are practically going to steal a victory from Kendall again, who this time it was a much more even game against them, but we've managed to get a great win. So it's the usual passionate, what a comeback, so proud of you. And then we move on to the next game. But that was a great win. I'm sure you can see how the tweaks in the tactics helped to bring the game back under our control, because at one stage it was looking like we were going to get annihilated in that match. So we've come back and we've won 2-1. On to the next game we go. So we're here and we're going to play against City of Liverpool. It's not the Liverpool that we all know and love with all our hearts, obviously. There's no Mo Salah, there's no Jordan Henderson, but there is Kai Steer, another Kai Steer. This is the second Kai Steer that we're playing against in the in successive matches. But hopefully This will be a game that we can win. We're now sitting in about 5th place in the league, but that's because all the other teams got to play and we didn't. I intended for us to play against Winsford and then the City of Liverpool, but the Winsford game got moved, presumably because they had to play a replay in the FA Cup. So I thought it'd be okay. We'll play City of Liverpool and then we'll play Winsford. Winsford is a local derby to Sandbach United, so it would have been quite good to cover that. But then I've had another message saying it's been cancelled again because of the second preliminary round of the FA Cup. So we're not going to be able to cover that game against Winsford, which is a bit of a shame. But we'll carry on. City of Liverpool, they're a pretty good side, predicted to do quite well in the league. And so this is the lineup for today. We've gone with Naylor in goal, Baker, Gibson, Chisholm, Muggleton, Wicks, Berry, Lucky Lou, Prudo, Lee Knight, and Dan Smith up front. So Sandbach United will be the team in blue, City of Liverpool the team in white. It's quite an interesting game. I don't know which way it's going to go, but this will definitely be a measure of whether we are likely to see success in this division or not. It looks like another game which is very slow in highlights. Kai Steer's got a yellow card. Wicks, Muggleton crosses the ball in, Knight's at the back post, and Steer brings it away. Chisholm to Baker. We're playing around nicely at the back. Wicks sends it forward. It's sent forward to Wicks, should I say. And Lucky Lou wins it back. Lee Knight. Oh, that was so close. The chance eventually when it came nearly came for nothing. Half an hour in, that's the only highlight we've had so far. We have a corner. Chisholm with a really good header then. Baker sends the ball back in and Lee Knight on the volley. He's had 2 great chances early doors. So we'll give him a shout, get creative, see if that helps us. As City of Liverpool get their first real chance. Fortunately, Naylor held on to it. Now they've got a free kick in a dangerous position, with Clare taking it. Oh, and it was nearly a great finish. And half time comes. I think we can be reasonably happy with how it's going at the moment, but we can still win this game. So they're inspired by the feedback. We're going to keep everything the same as it is. I don't think the tactics need to change at the moment. I would like to think that we could snatch something from this game, as I thought Lee Knight had scored straight from a corner then, but it was swung in again from Muggleton, and so we're an hour in. Dan Smith is having a bad game, but you can't take him off, he's too good. Muggleton's having a good game. So what do we do? So I'm actually going to take a chance and take Lee Knight off. Lee Knight's actually looked our most likely striker, but I can't take Dan Smith off. Even if he only had 1 leg, he scores 2 goals. So we are the home side, so we will push a little bit more positive, try and get a goal in these last 10 minutes. If we were to draw 0-0, it would be a bit of a bore draw when you've got a live com. But in the context of this being one of the harder teams in the league, I think we would be quite happy. But Berry has lost the ball, giving it away. Steer picks it up. Williams. They're beginning to look very threatening here. And Naylor made a great save, and then Brown was there to follow it up, and all of a sudden everything has gone wrong. Muggleton perhaps could have got that. I mean, that Naylor, that was an amazing save, it has to be said, but he just couldn't hold on to the ball. and Brown was able to slot home to give a late goal for City of Liverpool. We need to come straight back, and Bashford has equalised. I think it's going to stand. It's 1-1. So that is the first goal that Bashford has scored, I believe, in his entire career, never mind just for Sandbach United. I thought it was a header. It wasn't. He just jumped up and poked it home. And we're seeing it again just to show that he was onside, but we knew he was anyway. So we're back to where we were a moment ago. We're still on very attacking, which as usual is potentially a mistake. There weren't any more chances. It was 1-1. And I'll take that. There weren't many highlights in that game. Again, it was a very close game. I think 1-1 was a fair result. And we move on to the next game, having taken 7 points from our first 3 games. So we've got to be reasonably happy with that. It is going to be a cup game, and we shall be against... Let me get to it. We shall be against Amesbury Town. So I'll see you on the other side. So just as we come to the FA Cup game, I'd like to introduce you to a new player that we've signed. It is Jack Taylor. I bought him on a little bit of a punt. Actually, I'd had him on a shortlist, and another team had bid for him, but I didn't have any idea what his attributes would be. As you can see, we've not done too badly out of him. He's there or thereabouts with all the stuff that he needs. For his tackling is 8, his heading is 9, his pace is 9, his determination's fantastic, his leadership's great, and his teamwork too. So I think he's going to be a reasonable player for us. And now we'll move on to our team selection for our game against Amesbury. And I'm thinking of keeping pretty much the same team. Although, do we give our new guy a chance? Yeah, let's give Jack Taylor a go. Chandler Gibson can go back onto the bench. And Tommy Deitch has gone back in goal for us. We certainly want to try and give him the cup games, if nothing else. So this is a final lineup. Deitch in goal, Baker, Taylor, Chisholm, Muggleton, with Wicks on the right, Berry, Lucky Lou, Prudo on the left, Knight and Smith up front. So we've ended up with a cup double header for our first games of the season. It wasn't intended to be like that, but that's what's happened, and we've gone with a pretty strong lineup as Deitch makes a save from a free kick crossed in. And because the highlight hasn't finished, I'm beginning to wonder whether this is our highlight. But it's a great tackle again. And look at that Craig is rapid. Gio Craig, 3rd goal of the season, and he was fast then. We are certainly going to be having a look at him before the end of this game, because if we could get hold of another Caius Metz, another player with blistering pace, that would really enforce our armoury of forwards. But sadly it means that we're 1-0 down as well, but you know, if it helps us find a player, you never know, it might be useful to us. So Baker takes a free kick, Wicks whips it in, and Dan Smith heads it home. It's not going to count because he's offside. And he was offside too, it just strayed off. A bit of a shame because Dan Smith went a whole game without scoring against against City of Liverpool, should I say. And we're losing with 35 minutes gone. So we've got to demand more of these guys. See if we can get back into the game as Muggleton takes a free kick. That was very close. We now have a corner which will also be taken by Muggleton, but we will not get to see it, apparently. And just as we're coming up to half time, we have a highlight. Amesbury appear to be the ones who have it. Dean Edwards bringing the ball forward. Again, it's a long ball forward. Knight has won it back for us and sent Dan Smith one-on-one with the keeper, and he has tucked it away. Dan Smith scores his 7th goal of the season. Lee Knight with the assist, and that is 1-1. And what a relief that we can go in at half-time level. Knight had to battle for the ball, but he was quick with a left-footed punt upfield, perfectly weighted for Dan Smith, whose composure was perfect and a lovely little finish. So half time and 1-1. Keep going out there, you can still win this. And we'll tell them that we're looking for them to make the difference. And I think we'll keep it the same for the second half. I was considering giving Bashford another run out, but I think we'll give Lee Knight just another half an hour or so. So time is beginning to tick away now. We're in the 67th minute. Or do we give Belkio Papa a run out? Or do we give Aaron Bashford? I think we'll go with Bashford again because he's... And we'll give Molyneux a go out on the right. Time is ticking away. Not many highlights happening. We could do without having to play the same team again away from home, really. So what we'll do, we'll go very attacking for the last few minutes of the game. Even if it means we lose because we went over attacking. We don't really want to be playing a replay. Bossman brings it forward. Craig tries to play it back, but he's ended up playing in Dan Smith. And Dan Smith has missed the one-on-one. It was a very close attempt, and with less than 60 seconds to go, Muggleton swings in the corner. Prudo will pick it up. Will he swing the ball back in? No, it's gone back to Craig, and Craig has got all that pace. Hopefully he's too tired. He looks tired. He's in the red. And Taylor has won a free kick. Is that the end of the highlight and the end of the match? Or is there more to come from this? Back come Amesbury again. And the whistle has gone. It is 1-1. So we're going to have a replay. And I think what we're going to have to do is leave it there. You will have to find out, unfortunately, how we get on. If the replay is soon, I will interject at the end of this video. So in the replay against Amesbury, we actually fell behind to the team in blue in the 76th minute, and in the 87th minute, Bailey Prudo, once again for the second game in succession, rescues a draw for us. It was obviously Dan Smith in the first game, but this one we were rescued. And then it went to a penalty shootout, and you can already see the result at the top there, but yeah, so it was a little bit of a disappointing game. Baker was the first of our players to miss. Edwards missed for them. Taylor scored. Rice scored. Then Dan Smith. Ever reliable. Oh no. So as soon as Dan Smith missed, I knew that the writing was on the wall, really. He scored. I'm not sure what his name is pronounced. Muggleton scores, slots it under the goalkeeper. Another player with a funny name scored. Carter slots it in the corner. It seems to be our defenders who have done the better penalties in this. Hayward scored. Lucky Lou. Was somewhat lucky, actually. Edwards scored. And Bailey Prudo went from hero to hero. Priest scored. Gibson, you've fluffed your lines, mate. And that was it. Amesbury won 7-6 on penalties. It was a 1-1 draw. I'm sure for this you can hear my cockatiel celebrating in the background. He loves it when I lose. But I'd like to thank you for listening. If you like what you've seen today, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you again soon. Thanks a lot.